Well, it's a shocking case that's coming to the fore from Karnataka viewers. Popular cine star, challenging star as he is popularly known as in Karnataka, Darshan Thoogudeepa, has now been arrested for his alleged role in a murder case. Over 11 people, including the actor Pavithra Gowda, have also been taken into custody. They're right now in court. They're being produced in court. And the cops are seeking police custody to question him further. According to the police here, the victim is Renuka Swamy. He was murdered on the 8th of June. Then his body was found in a drain a day later. Police have also revealed that the victim had sent certain derogatory messages on social media against actress Pavithra Gowda, who is known to be very close to Darshan. Rumors also suggest that they are lovers. What's also interesting here is that the dynamic between Pavithra and Darshan, wherein some reports Pavithra suggest that Pavithra is Darshan's wife, while several, of course, address her as a long-time partner. Well, that's not it. Sources also suggest that the victim, Renuka, had created a fake Instagram account to post derogatory comments against Pavithra Gowda and hinting at her affair with the actor Darshan. What follows next is hard to believe, but it's alleged that the head of one of Darshan's fan association, Raghu, created another account to trace the identity of this individual, after which he lured Swamy to a go down on Mysuru road where he was tortured and killed eventually, is the preliminary detail that's emerging. And all of this has allegedly happened at the behest of Darshan and Pavithra Gowda's instructions. Now today, of course, viewers, as we look at this case, as we speak, 14-day custody has been sought. Whether that will be given is the question, but multiple reactions have been coming in from the Home Minister, from the Police Commissioner and others. Let's listen in first. Actor Darshan here, could you confirm whether he's been detained or arrested at this point in time, sir?
No, he has been arrested.
Okay.
There was a murder in city, and a few people have been arrested. I think 4 or 5 people have been arrested, and somewhere his name has been mentioned by those people. So that is why Mr. Darshan has been taken into custody. So now inquiry will tell us what exactly is the reason, if his involvement is there. There must have been some evidence. Otherwise, you can't just simply go and arrest a person of that popularity.
Yeah.
And police must have some strong reasons to take him into custody.
Well, Brinda Adige, activist, advocate, NS Napinai, senior advocate. She's also a founder from Cyber Sati. Dr Nisha Khanna, psychologist, all of them today with us to try and decipher this case. More importantly, of course, because it's a big popular actor involved, what should be the do's and don'ts as far as investigation is concerned. And also to look at the background into this as well, because as far as Darshan is concerned, he's been charged with domestic violence as well in the past. There's so much that really comes into the picture. Let me go straight across first to Advocate NS Napinai. If you could tell us here, now in this particular case, the cops have already sought police custody, and when you're dealing with a sensitive case like this, when you're dealing with a high-profile case like this, what are the main aspects that the police should be aware of, and what are the do's and don'ts from the legal side and from the policing side here? Napinai.
Well, Deepak, it doesn't matter who the accused is. The law is expected to work the same. So when you look at a case like this, the procedure is usually that first there is an inquiry conducted, and based on the investigation and the information culled out in investigation, police will seek further arrests and police custody, etc. So the distinction between what is police custody and judicial custody is that where a person is arrested, they will be remanded as an under trial. That is a judicial custody, where they ask for custody with the police for investigation purposes. That's the distinction in terms of police custody. So in this particular case, it is a little sad the way the whole process has come about. We cannot comment on the case per se because we don't have the facts of the case before us. But all that I can say is that the investigative process is expected to move in a manner which is uniform, irrespective of who is involved. But when it is somebody who's a celebrity or a well-known person, usually there is a lot of care and caution that is exercised so that it does not become a law and order issue.
Okay, and we earlier saw as well, Napina, we saw police resorting to lathi charge too, because we had fans of this actor really, gather in huge numbers, started to shout slogans as well. That's something that we saw a little while ago. And more, I'd also try to here bring in Dr. Nisha Khanna to try and understand two aspects here, Dr. Khanna, that you probably couldn't comment on. Firstly, yes, as of now, very sketchy preliminary details. But based on what we have, this crime allegedly took place because of social media posts that were put up against the actor and somebody who was very close to him. Now, what is how much of an impact does social media also really have? Because if this was put up on social media, actors, of course, are used to positive and negative comments, but to take it to this level, that is a serious issue that needs to be looked into.
I would say definitely the social media plays in our life today's world is very important role. But definitely when you are at a particular strata, or especially at the celebrity level, you are used to such sort of comments, or if someone pass on you and someone makes some comments related to your personal life, they are used to. But I have personally done certain cases of some celebrities who are getting bogged down with such sort of comments, and they actually get disturbed by this. So it's very common that people can get disturbed, but at what level they can get disturbed that the person can think of or planning for something that you can't say or we can't say right now. Because definitely, because the people who make comments, they don't know anything ABCD about their personal lives, how they work. And definitely their life is also very, because to make everyone happy in their surroundings, it's very difficult. Even numerous times we have saw that that sometimes even the celebrities also misbehave with their I would say the audience, with the public, because sometimes they don't want to be get clicked, they do not want to talk, they have their own certain sort of mood swings, they want rest, sometimes they even actually don't have their personal lives. And some people, when they do not have any idea about what they are going through, how they are thinking or what they are thinking, what personally they are, when they comment on them, people takes on heart. It's very normal, they are also human beings. So if this person, I think so, the way we are talking about this Renuka, he made certain comments about, I would say, the loved or the partner of this Darshan. So we don't know at what level this person took it on heart, whether the girlfriend or the wife or the lover or the friend, whatever the relationship they are sharing. But at what level it deeply got hurt, how sensitive the person is, whether the person is, because certain times person take things on heart and it emotionally disturbs them. Even myself, I've done certain cases where celebrities actually put their accounts on off from social media, even they are big shots, and they are saying it that
Yeah.
public is commenting on something which has no correlation with the reality. And basically they sometimes even not get sleep, even they have to put them on their sleeping pills and all. And it's very common. But definitely we have to understand their job is totally such sort of that, where they are always under the spotlight of the public, where people knows what they are doing and people expect them to behave in a certain way. And certain times their expectations are up to that level, when they are not performing up to the mark, and as a common man, people go and mark or say certain things which are not correct as per their value or as per their thought process. And I think so lots of time when you saw the celebrities interviews, they cried over these issues, even they are getting married, and how the public comment on what sort of clothes they are wearing, what sort of scenes
But
they are
Dr.
doing.
Khanna, there's another
They
aspect
take
to
it
look
on the
into
personal
here.
level.
It's the fans. While, of course, this is a matter that's still under investigation, the police have to really divulge a lot of details. But, like the Home Minister said, without solid evidence, they wouldn't really go ahead and get hold of a popular figure like, the actor here, Darshan. And if there is any iota of doubt or evidence that they have, they need to thoroughly investigate it. And the fans of any actor, instead of, mere hero worship, should really try and allow for the process of law to take its own course, because a free and fair investigation is required, because this is a life that we're talking about which has been lost. Now, popularity of the actor is on one side, his fan base is in the other. But you cannot allow the actor by any means to get away with murder. And if there is a crime that has been committed, and if they believe that the actor is at fault here, it needs to be thoroughly investigated. So how do you really deal with this hero worship of sorts? We've already seen fans gather outside of the police station, more activity on social media right now, many of them claiming that he's innocent, he's being targeted. How do you really deal with such things?
Deepak, may I come in?
Deepak, may I say something about this?
Deepak?
Yes, please go ahead. Nisha, if you could hear me, please go ahead.
Deepak, there are
Deepak,
certain
who do you
motives
want us
behind
to-
when certain... Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. Nisha Khanna, that was for you. Please go ahead.
There are certain reasons behind when person even plan for a murder. And one of the reason we can fit into this theory maybe, one is that lust is one of the... There are 4 sets of L which suit is for the conspiracy theory about the murder planning. If this person is involved, we can say that. Then one is lust, another is love, third is loathing, and another is loot. If in particular case, we will see that the loathing is one of the reason where person may have the anger issues or particular individual, then person can go and plan a murder against the other person. So now this person, if you see the history of this particular actor, I was reading about on the internet, in November 2023, they had some issues, the history of abuses with this guy already having a history where he abused our domestic violence case. He was involved in the dogs being set free on certain particular cases. So you have to see how the particular person's temperament plays an important role. Whether the person has such incidents in the past where person get the violent. So such behavior, if the person have the history of such sort of rage where person go beyond the boundaries and hurt another person, then there are the very higher chances on the psychological level, I am saying it, that maybe the person have some anger issues, maybe intermittent explosive disorder must be there, or maybe there are psychological tendencies or psychotic symptoms. The person can go up to certain extent out of rage, because most of the time people do certain things out of rage or in the control of like taking the revenge or vengeance. They go to this extent, the person can plan for someone's murder. If it is the particular case, I am finding the loathing theory goes fit in this particular case. And this person may, because as we all heard that the person commented on the who died, he commented Renuka died, he commented on the lover or the wife or the fiancé or the partner of this particular, I would say, actor. So it may be the possibility the person get into the rage or maybe planned it out something out of the loathing, because having a particular I would say that grudge towards that person out of vengeance or revenge, the person can go to extent. And it may be the history of certain things, maybe also pointing it out that person can go to that extent. And I think so. I was reading that there are lots of people.
You're saying that there
police
could be anger
investigated.
issues. It could be a history. There is, of course, a case of domestic violence that he was dealing with. Brinda, you're, I'm sure, aware of this as well. That several years ago, almost a decade ago, his wife had filed for divorce. She had claimed domestic violence and harassment at home. He was at that point in time as well sent to prison and judicial custody as well. So there seems to be somewhere a history of anger issues, violence involved with this actor too.
You're absolutely right, Deepak. But that said, we must also understand that there is a very high amount of impunity, because in the first few cases also he has got away. Nowhere has he been convicted of any of the charges that the police might have registered in their charge sheet. That said, I think over here there is also a kind of arrogance because of the fan following, the frenzy, because the fans are all devoted to him. And like you mentioned, he's a high-profile figure. He's an actor. And police are also a bit wary about probably bringing the case to a logical conclusion because of all of these connections and influences. But is that okay? That's the question we must ask today. Can someone get so angry because people have posted They keep continuing to troll, and this happens not only to actors, but politicians and even ordinary citizens and anybody. Why was he not showing a example to his fans that a case must be registered on somebody who's trolling? Why would he not want to live up to that hero real
Okay.
life that is already happening in his films? Why is it that he thought that something like this can have no consequences or no bearing on him, and he is not responsible for any of the repercussions that might happen? His fans are ready to do anything for him. That's what we have seen. Fans idealize and they do anything for the person whom they love and like and idolize. Can this be taken advantage of? So these are the various questions that we must ask when we talk of a society that is looking up to people like him to be role models. And his fans would be anywhere between 14 to 35, 45 years old, very impressionable, very strong, and they have a say. And that is why the question today is the police having the wherewithal? Do they have the support of all the state agencies? When I say state agencies, I also mean the politicians. I also mean people who can tell something
Yeah.
to the police about filing in this manner or not having a watertight case. At the end of the day, there is a lesson that will be taught and sent, a message sent to the entire society. Is that going to be one where there is fear of law and there is hope that justice will be served?
Right, very interesting points that you mentioned there. In fact, we are also tracking some developments that are taking place in court, Brinda, as we speak. The police have sought for 14-day custody to question him. They believe that they have to really corroborate the evidence that they've been able to get hold of in this particular case, and also, of course, take statements of each of these individuals. This is a high-profile case, but there are other people too involved. Pavithra Gowda has been, termed as A1 in this particular case in court. The cops, of course, in the FIR that has been registered, it's all against unknown people, because this was a watchman or a security guard who found the body near a drain, eventually went ahead and told the police, well, this was a man that we found severely injured, found dead near the drain. FIR was registered against unknown people. And now, in front of the magistrate there, as they are being produced and their custody is being sought, A1 is Pavithra Gowda. This is a person who the Commissioner of Police refers to as the wife of Darshan. Darshan is married to another woman. There is a lot of course, personal issues. We don't want to really delve into that. Many of them say that there is a possibility that because of their relationship that they had and the comments that were passed on the relationship, this crime has taken place. Right now, we've been informed that he's crying in court. This is the latest update that we're also tracking. I'll come back to Advocate Napina here to break this down. What do you really make of instances like this where you have people in open court really shedding tears, Advocate Napinai, and especially this is an actor. So can anybody take this at face value that, is he getting emotional? Is he guilty, or is he just embarrassed? How do you really read through this?
Yeah, so I just wanted us to step back a little bit before I address your question, Deepak, because a lot has been talked about the cyberbullying aspect. So I wanted to clarify that cyberbullying by itself is an offense in India. The mode and manner in which you commit trolling or bullying can be prosecuted. So let's not get, let's not brush that aspect aside. And the impact, as the doctor rightly mentioned, the impact is huge. But as has been shared by the panelists too, it does not give anybody the right to resort to violence or vigilante justice. Now, sadly, if you look at one of the earliest cases of cyberbullying, that was a reversal of sorts, because it was a child who was bullied in a physical domain and he resorted to consequently bullying his classmates on a virtual domain. This is a reversal where you have bullying in the virtual domain, which is converting into the real domain. So the point I wanted to make is, often we come across these kind of stories and movies where you see a lot of, I mean, there was this one movie which was focusing on all kinds of cyber crimes, particularly of hacking into multiple devices and tracking the victim, etc., which results in the murder of the bully. So this is almost reminiscent of that case where you cannot resort to vigilante justice in real life, as the activist
Also,
rightly
tell our
pointed
viewers
out.
here, Advocate Napin, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. Updates coming in from the court as well here. Updates are coming in from the court as well that, he continues to hear weep. He's also informed the judge about who his advocates are, because there are 13 people, viewers here, who've been produced in court, including actor Darshan, also his friend here, said to be his wife, Pavithra Gowda as well. Meanwhile, Napina, I want to really ask you this one question. Based on your experience as an advocate, you must have come across multiple cases where, social media could have been one of the reasons for, committing the crime. And here, in such an instance, what are the types of evidence gathering that the police can really do? Because one is, of course, we understand that from the victim identifying who he is, probably going back and tracing who are the last people who made phone calls to him is one aspect that they can look into. But in such instances where there could be social media involved, what are the forms and means through which police investigate?
Today, you have multiple ways of finding out who has committed a crime, and in fact, the electronic medium helps you a lot. So, if you look at a case like this, you first had evidence from virtual domains in terms of the cyberbullying, which also gave motive for the case, and that may have helped to track the first set of accused. And it appears that from their statements, the next set of accused have been implicated, which includes the two actors. So when you look at any kind of investigation, it follows both trails. It's nowadays never limited to only one kind of trail. You will go both offline in terms of figuring out who met where, was there a conspiracy, where was the conspiracy hatched, who were the people who were involved in it and how. And in this process of evaluating who were all the persons involved, you will rely both on physical evidence. It could be of eyewitnesses, it is what is called as circumstantial evidence otherwise. And here circumstantial evidence could also come in the form of electronic evidence. Just an example is, if some of the persons who have beaten and killed the victim probably have, the phone trails, the CDR will point to who were all the persons who were in touch with them and what were, the call periods, etc. So based on that also, investigation is likely to progress in deciding who could be the persons who were involved in this crime. We should really be patient and let law take its course. Again, for fans to take law into their own hands and to try and resort to violence would be a grave injustice.
Okay, and also, Advocate Napina, I also want to ask you another question, because this is another development happening in court. The advocates are arguing that he has no involvement in the crime, and then why is the police really asking for custody? Instead, send him to judicial custody. How do these two things change? Because at the end of the day, he goes to prison or to police custody. Why are the advocates arguing that he should not be sent to the police custody, instead should be sent to judicial custody?
So in general, as I already mentioned to you in the opening statement, police custody is always asked for the purpose of supporting investigation. So where investigation requires the inquiry of an accused, where you have to first question an accused to find where the evidence trail lies and to be able to seize certain documents to confront the accused in terms of that document or details that you have captured as police, that is when police custody becomes necessary. So the issue of whether police custody is essential or not will lie on two counts. The first and foremost is, if a case is resulting or relies only on documentary trails, then invariably the argument will be police custody would not be needed. But in a case of murder, as I already told you, where evidence is likely to be multi-factors, of physical trails, virtual trails, and evidentiary aspects which will have to be put to the accused and for further investigation, then police custody may be an essential aspect of it. In fact, a police custody does not have to necessarily be looked at as a negative aspect. you can use that process to also show why you're innocent.
So, but
You can
then why
cooperate with
why are the lawyers here arguing in favor of judicial custody, Advocate Napina? That's my
is
question.
always
Why
a
are
sense of-
Darshan's lawyers here insisting that there should be judicial custody instead of police custody?
Because there is also always a sense of fear in terms of police custody and the possibility of abuse. And I don't think here is a situation where that is going to be a possibility. Admittedly, the accused is a celebrity. Admittedly, the police have to be very cautious in terms of how they will approach the investigation processes. So I think this is at least definitely a case where the lawyers would have to trust the system. But then they're just doing their job too. The lawyers are just arguing in terms of what they believe is appropriate.
Okay, they're doing their job. Brinda, I want to quickly bring you in as well here. High profile cases, Brinda, we've seen that multiple times in different parts of the country and the cover-ups involved. How important is it to ensure that, transparency is maintained from the police as far as this investigation is concerned? It's a good sign that they have voluntarily gone ahead and picked him up, considering how high profile this case is, how high his popularity is. That has not bothered them when the arrest has been made. But to ensure this transparency continues in the next few days of investigation is going to be important.
Absolutely right, Deepak. First and foremost, I think it is important as a responsible public figure that this person, Darshan, appeals and tells his fans that whatever is happening is the due process of law and that they must not cause any kind of problems or issues or, give trouble to the police. They are already stretched. Next is we are looking at the state agencies, especially the politicians, to stay off, not get into this, because they are also looking at votes at every point of time. And they must understand that the police are doing a very, very difficult job. It also is very sensitive, but it is also a difficult job, because going and taking him over there, like the advocate mentioned, to now question him, interrogate him, not just question, but interrogate him to get all the answers, all the responses. So it is important that the police know that the politicians, the state ministers have their back. Next, and I think this is the most important, is that the hospitals and other people who have to be party to the evidence and the forensic evidence that must be gathered must do their job as per due process and not get carried away by anything. And last but not the least, popularity part of it, I think it is time for us to show not only to the world, but also to ourselves that justice will not be colored as a result of fan following, fan frenzy, or for that matter, popularity. Because we know that movies run with a lot of different kinds of finances. So people will be worried that his movie, whatever might be coming or is in the process, might lose out on the moolah, on the box office.
Yeah.
All of that must be put behind. A man has been killed and justice must be served to the family. That is all, and that must be the first and
Justice
the final.
Must be served, and that's the most important aspect here. And I agree with you, Brinda. Let's hope that the police continue to maintain transparency. Brinda, Napinai, and also Dr. Khanna, thanking all of you for sharing your perspectives. But of course, we keep a close track of all the developments. In court at the moment, Darshan shedding tears. And in a short while from now, we'll know whether he's going to be sent to jail or to police custody.